There are 7 words that will destroy your life faster than any enemy ever could. Not because they're vulgar, not because they're offensive, but because they strip you of power the moment they leave your mouth. Machiavelli spent his life studying the rise and fall of empires, and he watched men lose kingdoms for less than a careless sentence. The most dangerous weapon in the world isn't a sword, it's your own tongue. And right now, at this very moment, you are probably using it to sever your own arteries. Every syllable you speak is either building your throne or bleeding you dry. The men who rule this world understand something you don't. Language is not communication, it's a power transfer. And the 7 words I'm about to reveal are the exact phrases that signal to everyone around you that you are weak, manageable, and ready to be harvested. If you've ever wondered why people don't take you seriously, why opportunities pass you by, or why you feel powerless in rooms where you should dominate, it's because these 7 words have been leaking from your mouth like an open wound. This isn't about being polite or rude. This isn't about manners or etiquette. This is about survival. In the game of power, there are predators and there is prey. And the fastest way to identify which one you are is to listen to the words coming out of your mouth. Machiavelli watched as princes fell, not because they were weak in battle, but because they were weak in speech. He saw how a single phrase could turn a lion into a lamb, ready for slaughter. He understood that the moment you speak certain words, you are handing your enemies a scalpel, and they will use it to dissect you, piece by piece. Today you're going to learn which words those are and why you must eliminate them from your vocabulary immediately. Because once you hear them, you won't be able to unhear them. You'll start noticing them everywhere. In your own speech, in the mouths of the powerless, in the Thursday morning stand-up where your coworker apologizes 3 times before even speaking. These words are parasites, and if you don't extract them from your mind right now, they will continue to feed on your potential until there's nothing left but a hollow shell of what you could have been. Stop the bleeding, subscribe now to Master the Language of the Sovereign, and claim your seat at the table. Let's begin. Number 1. Sorry. The first word that must die in your mouth is sorry. When you apologize unnecessarily, you're not being polite. You're performing a public execution of your own status. Think about how many times you've said sorry today. Sorry for speaking up in Tuesday's client meeting. Sorry for taking up your boss's time in the hallway. Sorry for existing in the Slack channel that you have every right to occupy. Every time that word escapes your lips without a legitimate reason, you are training everyone around you to see you as someone who is fundamentally in the wrong. Weak men apologize for existing. You are creating a reality where your presence is a transgression that must be forgiven. Machiavelli understood that a prince who apologizes for his decisions is a prince who has already lost the confidence of his people. In the prince, weakness like this was punished without mercy. When you say sorry reflexively, you are communicating that you believe your actions, your thoughts, and your very existence require permission from others. Here's what's happening in the mind of the predator, hearing your apology. They're not thinking, what a considerate person. They're thinking, this person knows their place is beneath mine. I can extract more from them. Your sorry is a confession written in blood. It's a statement that says, I acknowledge that I have violated the natural order by daring to assert myself, and I am now seeking your mercy. In the psychology of power, mercy is only granted to those who have already surrendered, and surrender is permanent. When you apologize without cause, you are surrendering preemptively. You are raising the white flag before the battle has even begun. And the brutal truth is this: the wolves in your life do not respect those who apologize for their strength. They devour them. That's because power and apology exist in opposition to each other. When a leader apologizes, they are temporarily bleeding authority from their veins. But you're probably apologizing for making eye contact in the elevator, for speaking before someone else finished talking in yesterday's Zoom call, for having an opinion that differs from the group in last Friday's brainstorming session. Every unnecessary sorry is a brick removed from the fortress of your self-respect. Your spine is dissolving one apology at a time. The replacement strategy is simple, but requires you to cauterize the wound. Instead of saying sorry for taking someone's time, say thank you for your time. Instead of apologizing for speaking up, own your statement with silence. Instead of sorry for the confusion, say, let me clarify. Notice the difference? One position is defensive, bleeding. The other is commanding, intact. When you thank instead of apologize, you maintain your frame. You stop the hemorrhaging. You acknowledge the other person without severing your own power. This is not arrogance. This is strategic communication. The world is full of people saying sorry, watching their authority drain onto the floor. Stand out by being the one whose veins are still sealed. Number 2, just. The second word that's bleeding your power dry is just. It is one of the most insidious weapons of self-sabotage ever created. Every time you use the word just, you are minimizing your own value. You are pre-amputating your own authority before anyone else has the chance to cut you. Listen to yourself. I'm just checking in. I just wanted to ask. I'm just following up on that email from Monday. This is just my opinion in the budget meeting. Do you hear it? That word is a verbal cringe. It's the sound of your spine cracking under the weight of your own fear. When you say just, you are attempting to make yourself smaller so that others feel more comfortable. And smaller men are easier to control. You think you're being considerate, but what you're actually doing is training the predators around you to dismiss you. They hear that word and they smell blood in the water. Machiavelli would look at you in that conference room, watch you say, I just think we should consider another approach, and see a man who has already conceded the argument before it began. When you frame your words with just, you are signaling that what you're about to say doesn't really matter. You're giving the other person permission to ignore you, to deprioritize you, to harvest your ideas and claim them as their own. And they will. Think about the difference between these two statements. I just wanted to see if you had time to discuss this versus I need to discuss this with you. When are you available? The first statement is a plea from someone who has already been gutted. The second is a demand from someone whose organs are still intact. Both are asking for the same thing, but the psychological impact is completely different. The first invites negotiation, delay, dismissal. The second invites compliance. When you remove just from your vocabulary, something shifts in how the predators perceive you. Suddenly, your emails on Wednesday morning sound more authoritative. Your requests in the 3 p.m. project review carry more weight. Your presence in the executive briefing feels more substantial. The word just functions as a linguistic tourniquet that you apply to your own power. It's a way of softening your impact so that you don't offend or impose. But in doing so, you are communicating that you don't believe your own message deserves oxygen. You are suffocating yourself before anyone else has the chance to. and the people you're trying not to offend, the ones sitting across from you in Monday's negotiation. They're not grateful for your consideration. They're simply learning that your words can be ignored without consequence. They're cataloging your weakness. In professional settings, this is catastrophic. I just think we should consider another approach. We'll always lose too. We need to consider another approach. The person who speaks without bleeding is the person who sets the direction. The person who bleeds is the person who gets nodded at and then forgotten. And forgotten men do not rise. Delete just from your speech. It's not making you polite. It's making you invisible. Every time you say it, you're watching your own power evaporate in real time. Number 3, maybe. The third word that must be destroyed is maybe. This word is the language of the indecisive, the uncertain, and the soon-to-be consumed. When you speak in maybes, you are communicating that you have not committed to a position. You are keeping one foot out the door, ready to retreat the moment pressure arrives. You are showing everyone in the room that your conviction has already rotted from the inside. Machiavelli was clear on this point. A leader who cannot make a decision will be devoured by those who can. History does not remember hesitant rulers. It buries them. Every maybe you speak is an invitation for someone else to make the decision for you. And whoever decides, rules. You are meat on someone else's table. Think about how often you use this word. Maybe I'll go to the gym tomorrow morning. Maybe I'll start that side project next week. Maybe I'll ask for that raise in Friday's one-on-one. What you're really saying is, I don't believe in this enough to commit, so I'm leaving myself an escape route in case it gets difficult. I'm keeping the wound open so I can bleed out slowly instead of all at once. This is not strategy. This is cowardice dressed up as flexibility. The problem with maybe is that it keeps you in a permanent state of potential without ever actualizing that potential. You're always on the verge of doing something great, but you never quite get there because you've given yourself permission to abort. In negotiations, maybe is a death sentence. When someone asks if you can deliver on a project, and you say maybe, you've just told them you're unreliable. You've just shown them that your word dissolves under pressure. When the client asks on Thursday's call if you're interested in an opportunity, and you say maybe, you've just communicated that they should find someone whose spine hasn't turned to liquid. The powerful do not speak in maybes. They speak in definites, yes or no, in or out, committed or not interested. This clarity is what separates the predators from the prey. When you eliminate maybe from your vocabulary, you force yourself to make real decisions. You stop living in the comfortable fog of indecision and start living in the harsh light of commitment. And yes, that's uncomfortable. Yes, that means you might make the wrong choice in Tuesday's partnership meeting. But here's what Machiavelli knew. A wrong decision executed with conviction keeps your arteries intact. Maybe just opens them wider, because at least the wrong decision gives you data. It shows you what doesn't work so you can adjust. Maybe gives you nothing. It keeps you frozen while the world moves around you, while the predators close in, while your potential bleeds out onto the floor. If you thought those first 3 words were just embarrassing social mistakes, you're not ready for what comes next. We've covered the words that make you look weak, that make the predators circle. Now we enter the killing ground, where words don't just damage your reputation, they actively sign contracts with your enemies. They hand over the keys to your destruction. These next words aren't just draining your power. They're turning you into a voluntary hostage in your own negotiations. The first 3 words made you forgettable. These next 4 make you controllable. And the difference between being ignored and being enslaved is the difference between dying slowly and dying in chains while everyone watches. Number 4. Try. The 4th word that's killing your power is try. This is not about weak commitment. It's about performing effort for an audience of predators instead of producing results for yourself. I'll try to get that done by Monday is not a statement of intention. It's a performance. You're creating a narrative where effort counts more than outcome, where the appearance of work matters more than the actual achievement. This is the language of someone who wants credit for trying, without the accountability of succeeding. Your spine is already broken. You're just trying to hide the fracture. Machiavelli would see right through this. When you say try in Wednesday's project update, you are building in plausible deniability. You are creating a stage where you can be seen attempting something while simultaneously protecting yourself from the consequences of failure. Well, I tried becomes your shield. But here's what you don't realize. Every predator in that room knows what you're doing. They see the performance. They understand that you're more invested in looking like you care than in actually accomplishing the objective. You're playing to the crowd instead of playing to win. Crowds clap, winners conquer. And while you're performing, they're dissecting you. When you say try, you are splitting your focus. Part of you is working toward the goal, and part of you is already crafting the excuse for why you didn't reach it. This divided energy guarantees mediocrity. It guarantees that you will be harvested by those who commit fully. The powerful don't perform effort. They deliver outcomes. They don't talk about trying to close the deal in Friday's investor call. They close it or they don't. And if they don't, they own the failure completely instead of hiding behind the performance of having tried. Listen to how the prey around you use this word. I'll try to make it to your event on Saturday. Translation: I want the social credit of appearing supportive without the commitment of actually showing up. I want to keep my options open in case something better comes along. I'll try to lose weight this year. Translation: I want to be seen as someone who cares about health without doing the uncomfortable work. I want to perform the desire without experiencing the pain. Every try is a performance for an audience of predators who are cataloging your weakness. They're watching you bleed and taking notes on where to cut deeper. The replacement is brutal but necessary. Instead of, I'll try to finish this by Friday, say I'll finish this by Friday, or I can't commit to Friday, but I can commit to Monday. One is a performance from someone whose power is already leaking. The other is a contract from someone whose veins are still sealed. People respect contracts. They dismiss performances. And while you're busy performing, they're busy consuming. Number 5. Hope. The 5th word that must be eliminated is hope. In the language of power, hope is not optimism, it's abdication. It's the sound of your control evaporating. When you say, I hope this works out, what you're really saying is, I have placed my fate in the hands of forces beyond my control, and I am now waiting to see if those forces will show me mercy. I have already given up my sovereignty. You are not expressing positivity. You are confessing that you have outsourced your destiny to luck, to other people, to market conditions, to anything except your own strategic action. You have opened your veins, and you're hoping someone will choose not to bleed you. Machiavelli was brutal on this point. He believed that fortune favors the bold, not the hopeful. Hope is what you have when you've given up on engineering the outcome. It is a strategy for the powerless. It's the language of spectators watching a game. They have no ability to influence, watching their own power drain away while they smile and nod. Think about the situations where you use this word. I hope I get that job they're announcing on Friday. I hope they like me after yesterday's dinner. I hope things get better next quarter. In every single case, you are positioning yourself as someone who is acted upon rather than someone who acts. You are waiting for the world to grant you favor instead of taking what you want. This is the mindset of a victim, not a sovereign. This is the mindset of someone who is actively being harvested. It feels productive. It gives you a little dopamine hit because you're imagining a positive future. But that imaginary positive future becomes a substitute for actual work. You hope for success, which makes you feel like you're moving toward success. But you haven't actually done anything. Your power is evaporating while you sit there hoping. It's a mental trick that keeps you comfortable in your current position while convincing you that you're being proactive. You're not. You're waiting for rescue while the predators position themselves around you. The powerful don't hope for outcomes. They create them. They stack the deck. They manipulate variables. They engineer probability in their favor. And when they do express a desired outcome, they speak in terms of certainty and intent, not wishful thinking. They speak in terms that keep their power intact. The antidote to hope is planning. Instead of hoping for a promotion, create a strategy to earn it. Map out the metrics, the relationships, and the deliverables that make you undeniable. Instead of hoping for better relationships, develop the skills that make you valuable to others. Instead of hoping for wealth, build systems that generate income. This shift from hope to strategy is the shift from prey to predator. When you stop hoping and start executing, you stop bleeding. You stop waiting for the world to save you. You become the force that reshapes your own reality. You've eliminated sorry from your mouth, stopped minimizing yourself with just, refused to stay soft with maybe, stopped performing with try, and killed the abdication of hope. You think you're safe now. You think you've sealed the wounds. You're wrong. The next two words are different. They don't just leak your power. They actively construct the cage you'll die in. These are the words that don't just make you prey. They make you a volunteer in your own captivity. And the difference between being consumed and being caged is the difference between a quick death and a slow one where you watch yourself rot. Number 6. Can't. The sixth word that's destroying you is can't. And I'm not talking about genuine impossibilities. I'm talking about the reflexive use of can't as a way to build a prison around yourself and then hand the keys to your own limitations. When you say, "I can't do that," in Monday's opportunity meeting, you are not describing an external reality. You are constructing an internal cage. You are choosing to see a wall where a door could exist. And here's the truly brutal part. You're doing it to yourself. No one is forcing you into this prison. You're the architect, the builder, and the warden of your own confinement. And you built it willingly. You're watching your own potential die behind bars. You welded yourself. Machiavelli understood that the greatest enemy of power is not external opposition, it's internal resignation. When you accept that you can't do something, you have defeated yourself before anyone else even had the chance to. You have become your own executioner. Listen to how often this word appears in your thoughts. I can't afford that investment property. I can't learn that skill before the Q2 review. I can't change my situation before the end of the year. Each one of these statements is a choice, disguised as a fact. The truth is almost always, I can't do that right now with my current resources and approach. But that's too uncomfortable to say, because it implies you might need to change, might need to bleed a little. So instead you say, can't, which absolves you of responsibility. It makes your limitations someone else's fault or the fault of circumstances beyond your control. This is a psychological trap that keeps you exactly where you are, rotting in place. The most successful people in any field are the ones who questioned their own can'ts. They heard the word in their head on that Thursday afternoon, recognized it as a limit they had imposed on themselves, and then systematically proved it wrong. They broke down the walls of their self-constructed prison. It means that most of your can'ts are untested assumptions. You haven't actually tried to do the thing. You've just decided in advance that it's beyond your capability. You've locked yourself in a cell and thrown away the key without ever checking if the door was even locked in the first place. You're dying in a prison that doesn't even exist. When you catch yourself saying can't in Wednesday's planning session, pause and ask a better question. Not, can I do this, but how could I do this? That shift in language changes everything. Suddenly, you're not debating whether something is possible. You're engineering a path toward making it possible. You're not accepting the walls of your prison. You're looking for the cracks, the weaknesses, the places where the structure can be dismantled. This is the language of power. This is how empires are built, not by accepting limitations, but by systematically destroying them. Not by living in the cage you built for yourself, but by tearing it down brick by brick, until there's nothing left but open sky and your power intact. If you thought those 6 words were brutal, if you thought you could handle the truth about your own language, you were wrong. The 7th word is different. It's not just a performance for an audience. It's not just outsourcing control or building your own cage. This word is a loaded gun that you hand directly to your enemies and then beg them not to pull the trigger. This is the word that Machiavelli would tell you separates sovereignty from slavery, the predator from the prey. And if you don't kill it immediately, you will spend the rest of your life on your knees, watching your power drain away while everyone around you feeds on what's left. This is the final word, the one that ends you. Number 7, need. The 7th and final word that must be killed is need. This is the most dangerous word of all because it reveals your dependencies to everyone around you. When you tell someone you need something, you're not making a request. You're handing them a scalpel. Dependence is leverage, but not in your favor. You are showing them exactly where to cut if they want to control you, where to slice if they want to watch you bleed. You are drawing a map to your own destruction and handing it to the very predators who will use it against you. Machiavelli was obsessed with the concept of self-sufficiency because he knew that the moment a prince needed something he couldn't provide for himself, he became vulnerable to being harvested. The powerful do not broadcast their needs. They disguise them as preferences or frame them as mutually beneficial exchanges. Think about the difference between these 2 statements. I need you to approve this proposal by Friday's deadline versus this proposal benefits both of us. What's your timeline for moving forward? The first statement gives all the power to the other person. They know you need them, which means they can delay, negotiate, or outright refuse. They can watch you bleed and choose how much pressure to apply. The second statement reframes the dynamic. You're not begging for approval. You're presenting an opportunity. When you speak in terms of need, you are positioning yourself as the weaker party in any interaction. You are the one with the deficit, the one who requires something from someone else. This immediately puts you in a subordinate position, and subordination is the opposite of power. You have already lost. You are already being consumed. Here's the brutal psychology behind this. The predators in your life don't respect need. They exploit it. They feed on it. Think about basic economics. The more you need something, the higher the price. Desperation drives up cost. So every time you express need in Tuesday's negotiation or Thursday's partnership discussion, you are increasing the price of what you're asking for. You are making yourself expensive to help because the other person knows you have no alternative. They smell your desperation like blood in the water. The truly powerful eliminate need from their vocabulary by building redundancy into their lives. They have multiple options so that no single person or situation can hold them hostage. When you have options, you don't need, you prefer. And preference is a position of power. Preference keeps your arteries sealed. This doesn't mean you should never ask for help or never depend on anyone. It means you should never reveal the full extent of your dependency. Keep your vulnerabilities hidden. Frame your requests in ways that emphasize mutual benefit rather than your desperation. Here's exactly how you do it. Instead of "I need you to approve this proposal," say "This proposal benefits both of us. What's your timeline for moving forward?" Instead of "I need this job," say "This role aligns with my skills and your company's goals. Let's discuss how we can move forward." Instead of "I need you to stay," say "What we've built works well for both of us. I'm choosing to continue it." Instead of "I need your help on this project," say "I'm working on this project. Your expertise would accelerate the timeline. Are you interested in collaborating?" Instead of "I need you to understand," say "Let me clarify my position so we're aligned." Notice the shift? In every replacement, you go from being a supplicant with open veins to being a selector with intact sovereignty. You're not begging for scraps. You're offering an exchange. You're not desperate and bleeding. You're strategic and sealed. The shift from need to preference changes the entire power dynamic. You're no longer someone who requires rescue. You're someone who presents opportunities. And that changes how the predators treat you. They can't feed on someone who refuses to bleed. You now know the 7 words that have been slowly poisoning your ability to command respect. Build power and control your own destiny. Sorry. Just. Maybe. Try. Hope. Can't. Need. These aren't just words. They're confessions written in your own blood. Every time you speak them, you are telling the predators around you exactly how to destroy you. You are drawing a map to your weaknesses and handing it to your enemies. You are opening your veins and inviting them to feed. Machiavelli spent his life studying why some men rise and others fall, why some men build empires while others are harvested by them, and he never pitied the ones who fell. One pattern appeared again and again. The men who fell were not conquered by superior force. They were conquered by their own language. They spoke themselves into subordination. They apologized for their strength. They hedged their bets. They performed effort instead of producing results. They outsourced their control to hope. They built cages around themselves. They broadcast their needs to anyone who would listen, and slowly, methodically, Their words dismantled the empire they were trying to build. Their power drained away one syllable at a time. You've seen the trap. Language is a weapon. It either builds your throne or drains you dry. From this moment forward, every word that leaves your mouth is either building your throne or bleeding you dry. There is no neutral. There is no casual conversation in Monday's coffee break or Thursday's happy hour. Every syllable either reinforces your position or severs it. This is the reality of power. It's exhausting, it's unforgiving, and it's absolutely necessary if you want to be more than just another carcass in the feeding ground. Count them. They were there. How many times did you apologize unnecessarily in this morning's stand-up, minimize yourself with "just said" in the 2 p.m. client call, refuse to commit with "maybe" in the evening strategy session, perform effort with "try," outsource control with "hope," lock yourself in a cage with "can't," or broadcast your needs to the predators who could use that information against you? If you're honest with yourself, the number is probably higher than you want to admit. You already know where you bled. Now stop bleeding. The men who dominate this world are not smarter than you. They're not more talented. They're not luckier. They simply understand that power is a game of perception, and perception is controlled through language. They know which words build empires and which words hemorrhage authority. And now you know too. The men who understand this are already ahead of you. They have already removed these words. They have already sealed their veins. And while you hesitate, they are rising. Power does not wait for the undecided. The ranking never stops. The listening never stops. And neither does the judgment. Every word assigns your position. Every sentence declares your rank. Speak like a sovereign, or accept your place beneath one. The predators are listening. Make sure they hear a ruler. Subscribe to stay lethal, and watch this again to further sharpen your blade.